to be self-evident that all men are created equal.
Inherently and historically opposed to secret societies, to secret oaths, and to secret proceedings.
It's quite plain, sir, that Herr Hitler could not admit defeat in his air attack on Great Britain without sustaining most serious...
The United States of America was suddenly and deliberately attacked by naval and air forces of the empire.
Mr. Gorbachev, tear down this wall.
Bill Clinton.
Nice guy. Got a lot of problems coming up, in my opinion, with the famous island with Jeffrey Epstein.
That island was really a cesspool. There's no question about it. Just ask Prince Andrew.
You say that the FBI has Epstein's list. They're sitting on it. That doesn't seem like something you should do. You're protecting the world's foremost predator. That seems like an evil thing to do, regardless of who may be embarrassed in the release of that list. Why is the FBI protecting the greatest in human history?
Simple, because of who's on that list.
Who killed Jeffrey Epstein?
This doesn't look right. It doesn't look like a suicide.
Would you declassify the 9/11 files?
Yeah.
Would you declassify JFK files?
Yeah.
Would you declassify the Epstein files?
Yeah, I would.
All right.
I guess I would. I think that less so because, you don't know. You don't want to affect people's lives if it's phony stuff in there because there's a lot of phony stuff with that whole world. But I think I would, or at least...
Do you think that would restore trust? Help restore trust?
Yeah, I don't know about Epstein so much as I do the others. Certainly about the way he died. It would be interesting to find out what happened there, because that was a weird situation, and the cameras didn't happen to be working, et cetera, et cetera.
I want to talk to you about the Epstein case. I have worked on this for years, trying to get those records of who flew on Epstein's plane and who helped him build this international human trafficking ring.
Absolutely, Senator. Child trafficking has no place in the United States of America, and I will do everything, if confirmed as FBI director, to make sure the American public knows the full weight of what happened in the past.
Release the list.
Seriously, we need to release the Epstein list. That is an important thing.
The DOJ may be releasing the list of Jeffrey Epstein's clients. Will that really happen?
It's sitting on my desk right now to review.
A lot of people are wondering, because you said last week that you have the Epstein files on your desk, is when can we see them and what's taking so long to release them?
I do. Jesse, there are well over, this will make you sick, 200 victims. 200. So we have over 250 actually. So we have to make sure that their identity is protected. Other than that, I think tomorrow, Jesse, breaking news right now, you're going to see some Epstein information being released. There are tens of thousands of videos of Epstein with children or child.
What kind? Are we going to see who was on the flights? Are we going to see any evidence from what he recorded? Because he had all of his homes wired with recording devices.
Yeah, what you're going to see, hopefully tomorrow, is a lot of flight logs, a lot of names, a lot of information. But it's pretty sick what that man did.
Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of the Weekly Debrief. I'm your host, Kawa and Lane. This is Lane Duhan. Tonight we're going to dive into the Epstein Files. We're going to dive into the lack of an Epstein list, and we're going to obviously talk about some of the key players here and some of the things that they said. And then we'll probably give some assessments at the end of this, or maybe just throughout this. This is, Lane, this Epstein thing, I just kind of want to get into it. I know usually you and I kind of shoot the stuff for a couple minutes, but I figured this may be a long episode anyway. So I figured we just kind of dive into it. And really no need to kind of beat around, but let's just start with like the biggest news that we heard from Trump is through a tweet that he put out saying that the Epstein list does not exist, but now it's a hoax by Democrats and something to that effect. Okay, so that's just that's the latest and greatest, is that we have the Epstein list that is a Democratic hoax. It does not exist. Therefore, there's no list to put out, right? Obviously, there's a lot of problems with this statement. But I just want to get your reaction first of all of when I know you read that tweet. When you're reading that tweet, that long one, I can't help but like laugh when I read this man's tweets because I feel like he is not coherent when he writes them. But what did you think, man, when he said that the Epstein list is a Democratic hoax?
So throughout this episode, you'll see me smiling. My smiles are not to lighten the sensitivity of this subject and what it actually is about. But gaslighting is the least effective of psychological manipulation via text. What I mean by that is it is a lot easier for me to gaslight someone face to face with facial expressions and passion. But when you try to do it through text or, writing, it never lands. I don't care how masterful you are, you're not. First and foremost, what do I think about it? I think he sounds like an idiot. Simply put. Secondly, I would argue that his entire campaign and the people that are currently serving in his cabinet, through their professional pursuit to office and prior to in their private ventures, podcast, state attorney for Florida, all of these people were the ones making a big deal about the Epstein and the client list at that time for the right reasons, because it's not about who. I want to make sure I don't say this wrong. It's not about who's on the list. It's about the fact that these sickos were targeting and partaking in activities that involve children. And I just don't think that that's a conservative, a liberal, a Democrat, or Republican problem. I think that should, probably be a problem for every American, no matter what religion, political, or background or social economic background you come from. And if we can't level on that as Americans, that just kids are off limits. There's a lot of things off limits, but it's like that to me is the most egregious, because anyone who's had children understands that. I always say this, from infant to toddlers to children themselves, they're the most purest form of life that we have on this earth. They are innocent. They only know what you feed them, what you give them, and the interpretations and opinions and values and morals. It is things, they're sponges, and it's the type of things you give them is what they become. And clearly there's other things within the environment, but that was my initial thought. That's a lot. But you don't hear me say this often because I don't take him serious that often. But with a topic like this, it's like your own constituents, your own party is saying that y'all are failing on this and that it's going to lead to, and I'll tell you right now, the political support or lack thereof is because they know that this potentially may be a topic to splinter the Republican Party and cause them the every 2 year cycle, the next midterms. Sorry, I couldn't pull the word. But yeah, so that's my overall feeling when I read the tweet. I think I just shake my head because to your point, it's like, was it Jake? Who's the guy who works for him as chief of staff or whatever? Super quirky guy, real quick on the lip though. Can't remember his name, but I'm like, if that guy's in the room, there's no way from either a political, a government, or a policy perspective that he's approving and thinks he should be saying these things. It's like someone's got to get a hold of him, because it's like, brother, the only people critiquing this topic is your people right now. And all the Democrats are doing is just piling on, but it's his own people that are lighting the fire.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, to say that there's no list, and then to double down and say, not only is there no list, but now this is another, it's a hoax, a Democratic hoax. I mean, that's BS, because Biden had 4 years to release that list. And he didn't, because not only was there Republicans on that list. Now, if it was just Republicans on that list, then I think the Democrat Party would have released that list as soon as Biden took office, right? Or maybe Trump would have done something with it in his first term to make it go away. But the fact that the Biden administration didn't release that list, and now we have the Trump administration that also refuses to list, tells you very plainly and simply that there are both sides of the party on that list. And we're talking about just government officials, outside of everybody else, the civilian sector, but also very powerful people on that list. That if that list ever came out, I think there would be there would be chaos in the streets, and each whoever's on that list, there'd be a crowd around their house, you know. And I think, and so it's just, you lose your entire base when what you've claimed for 8 years is, or what you've done for 8 years is say that there's an Epstein list, you know, ask them about the Epstein list. There's a bunch of Democrats, Hillary's on there, and all these other people that he named are on there. And then when you have the chance to release this list, you say, no, I'm not going to do it. It's not going to happen. And now you're saying it's a hoax. This is a certain way to kill MAGA. A certain way to kill MAGA, and also kill his legacy. Whatever his legacy may have been, this is a huge scar in it now. And we all know that it's BS. There is absolutely an Epstein list. Otherwise, Pam Bondi wouldn't have said the Epstein list is on my desk. And we wouldn't have heard from several other people saying that they're, you know, in reference to a list. On top of which, now Ghislaine Maxwell just came out today and said, I am ready to talk about the list.
Yeah,
Bro,
she's got a clock on her now. I'll let you know that right now. There's a clock.
They made a mistake in the beginning to kill her in the first place, or get, you know, suicide her in the first place. But now you have literally the number 2 for Epstein saying there is in fact a list. I mean, it's a power play by her, but also it's like, I don't know what she's going to gain out of it other than a lack of life.
Yeah, she just signed her death certificate. Yeah, I just go back to the last 4 years and listen to people making a big deal about this list and the air manifest, and then hearing Pam Bondi say, and I'm paraphrasing here, but this will never see the light of day. There are minors. It's like, Pam, Americans are quite smart. Like, what are you talking about? No one out here is asking you to put children's information and or videos. They want the list of the adults, and you clearly can redact any information pertaining to kids. So, like, stop talking to us like we're elementary students and just put the damn list out. Don't tell us.
We're not idiots. We're not asking.
Don't tell us, well, we're not going to show you kids. No one wants to see kids.
No one's asking for the victims list. Not one person has said, show me the victim list. You know, when we say Epstein list, we mean very much show us who's on the client list of Epstein. And I don't know how much longer they think Americans are going to be dumb enough to just believe everything the government says. And I don't know how much damage this has actually done within MAGA and just a conservative party in general. But what I've seen from social media is there is a lot. I mean, he's getting a lot of backlash, and mainly from conservatives. The liberals are just doing the "I told you so" thing, you know. But a lot of conservators are coming down on him. And rightfully so. I mean, this is you know, when I say accountability, it's this is part of it. But I don't know how you like come back from this, because he has to ride with this. Like, what's he gonna do next week? Be like, okay, yeah, there is a list. No, it is not a hoax. Or is he gonna play it and say, okay, you know, it was a hoax, and we have part of the list, and we'll, I don't know, maybe release part of it, right? I mean, I just don't know, man. This guy Epstein himself is such a character, and I'm like 99.9% positive that he was Israeli Mossad, and the Epstein operation was very much an intel gathering or espionage operation on behalf of Israeli Mossad, and possibly other people in our government as well.
I mean, yeah, when you look at, you know, his rise, you know, teaching at a prominent charter / high school with no college degree, and then getting an opportunity out of nowhere to go work on Wall Street with no credentials, with back end. There were some people that didn't have college degrees that would find themselves on Wall Street and got, you know, and we were successful. So I don't want to make it seem like he was the only one, but it seemed to be there was some kind of energy behind him, whether that is money, capital, you know, another country.
Well, you know who is in charge of that Dalton school that you mentioned? I think the dean or the president of the Dalton school is Bill Barr's dad. I had his name, Donald. Yeah, Donald Barr was the head of the Dalton School when Epstein was brought in as a math or science teacher. I mean, dude, you didn't even graduate college.
He
I think
taught
he only
math and
graduated high
physics.
school.
Yeah,
A high school graduate teaching math and physics. I heard he was actually pretty good at math though.
Well, yeah, I'm sure. You know, it's just one of those things where it's just another data point to make you kind of
you're a teacher.
Go,
You're a teacher at like 25 or 26 years old at a prestigious private school.
One, and I guess the other question would be is, you know, the first year, like, well, Lane, do you know? Well, I don't. How many other teachers were teaching STEM classes at a prominent high school in New York City with no degree? I don't know. Maybe there were. I don't know. That's, you know, slightly before my time, but it just seems unique.
Do you know anything about Donald Barr? Because I want to hit you with a fun fact.
Go ahead.
Donald Barr.
I know. I just know about his son. I don't know about his dad.
Okay, so Donald Barr wrote a sci-fi book. It was called. Hold on, I have it here somewhere. Shoot, I don't have it. I'll have it in the post edit for this. But he wrote a sci-fi book basically about an elite ring of pedophiles that were sexualizing kids. I'm not joking. I'm sorry I can't remember it, guys, but you can look it up and we'll have it. Obviously, you're going to see it now, or you have already seen it. But yeah, it's a sci-fi book like about an elite pedophile ring that sexualizes and enslaves children. Space relations. Yeah, it's like that Scientology BS that Tom Cruise is all about. So he gets hired. He gets hired at this school as a teacher, but then he also becomes. He also gets a job at that Bear Stearns.
Well, it says from the connections he made at that school, he was then hired. You know, to your point, Bear Stearns to enter the world of finance, and then quickly rose through the ranks.
So he gets hired at this firm, and then becomes a partner in 4 years with no credentials. He already has SEC violations that leads to his resignation. And then he launches his own consulting firm at the age of 28.
Yeah. So someone had to get behind him to launch his own firm with those violations on his record.
Right? Yeah. So somebody was pouring money into this guy already. Do you think he was Mossad the whole time, or do you think he was honeypotted at some point?
Well, and again, you never know how early these people are sick, man. But I think
because just from the get-go, it's shady. Just from the get-go.
Well, yeah. I mean, like you said, he worked for a high school where the owner or founder, whatever, wrote a book about X, and now he gets thrusted into the financial world. You know, and now he's in the financial world, and then within, you know, years, he's now suspiciously become successful. And then from that success, you know, obviously we'll get there, but like continually is now this socialite almost in New York City. Then obviously it keeps going more and more, but obviously it seems
he's like Scarface, man.
This country, you got to make the money first. Then when you get the money, you get the power. Then when you get the power, then you get the woman.
Yeah. And in the financial world, you know what it is like for him to, I'm assuming he's raising funds, and from, you know, the fund people you find funds from, if you're raising them, are prominent people. And then with every raise and every contribution or investment is you owe that person, you know, something, whatever that something is.
Well, so then he starts rubbing elbows with like these bigwigs, right? Like Stephen Hoffenberg or whatever. That guy was also, didn't he get in trouble for like some Ponzi scheme or something?
Yeah. And then to name a few others, obviously it says here, Bill Clinton, Donald Trump, Prince Andrew, Leslie Wexner, Victoria's Secret billionaire. Yeah.
I mean, this dude's not even 30 and he's like up there just with
I mean, back then Donald Trump was a big deal. This is before the reality TV. This is just real estate mogul, you know, hotel, resort and all that.
Yeah. I mean,
this was back when Trump was a liberal.
I mean, yeah,
I'm just kidding.
Democrat. I mean, well, that's his words.
But I don't want to make it seem like I believe that's why, but it's just funny. You know what I mean?
You never know, bro. These days, anything. Look, this whole thing was a hoax. So now I believe anything. But I mean, and Leslie Wexner, right?
Yeah, it's a Victoria's Secret billionaire.
Yeah. I thought it was like Tommy Hilfiger or something like that too.
Oh, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised.
He's rubbing elbows with like the elites of the East Coast. These are all.
And people
very,
have to remember,
very...
back in the 80s and 90s, the names that we're naming, there weren't the billionaires and the hundreds of millionaires that we have today. Like, right, you could fit these people in a room back in those days.
You knew
People
most of their names.
Hundreds of millions, yeah. Nowadays, I mean, between crypto and the internet and social media content, a streamer could be worth $100 million. So I just feel like it wasn't as common back then. So these names were really big names and had influence, and there wasn't an internet or a sleuth of people on the internet to catch this stuff and have access to this stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, to answer my own question, I think this guy was Mossad from the get-go. I mean, young, mid-20s, and gets in this school just to get a foot in, and then, yeah. I mean, it's like, these are all like people. If you look,
do you think he was active, or do you think he was a source?
No, I think he was active.
Meaning, do you think he was an active agent, or do you think he got money thrown at him and he was either actively participating in collecting and creating those relationships, or do you think he was just a puppet that they were manipulating, knowing that his dumb self would use this money to get these relationships?
I mean, it's very possible. I think he was just from the get-go, from day one.
Okay.
I think he was a day one for sure. But it's very possible that it could have been, and if it was, it's very early on. I mean, Bill Barr is AG, and then now Bill Barr, his connection to Epstein now. I mean, it all makes sense at this point. In retrospect, when we reverse engineer this stuff, it makes sense. And then, becomes a junior partner within a firm, and within 4 years, becomes a partner. Sorry, not a junior partner, but a partner within a firm in 4 years. I mean, he's getting pushed through the ranks. He's getting his hand held, and all the connections are being made for him, and intros are made. And then at that point, he kind of does his thing. And I think he was probably collecting on everybody along the way from the get-go.
Well, with every connection, he's just more, he's more of an asset, and they're more compromised.
Yeah. Imagine how many times he wore a wire. Imagine, imagine.
You're talking about Diddy's cameras.
Yeah. I mean, imagine how many times nobody checks this guy for a wire. Who checks a guy for a wire that runs a firm and is friends with all these people? So this guy, who knows? He was wearing a wire. He was wearing a pen cam. I mean, those things were still, they came around then. And he was collecting who knows? So then he rises up in these ranks, and as he's becoming friends with these super elite people, now we're starting to see where now in retrospect, where all this could have started, as far as the sex trafficking and the underage girls, and these massages and stuff that keep getting brought up. Now we see where all this could have started.
Yeah, I think the 90s parties, there were whisperings, right, of things that took place. And then I think around, between the early 2000s, he got hemmed up or found himself involved in a case abusing underage girls in Palm Beach. So obviously you've already said the SEC violations, but this I think was the first, stamp of he's doing this kind of stuff. And looking back at that, if you guys look this stuff up, is he ended up doing a plea deal by 2008. I think by that time the case, 2004 or 5 through 2008, he ends up pleading and getting 13 months in a county jail. I find it interesting it's a county jail, you know what I mean? Because it pretty much means that all the federal entities down there either disengaged or chose not to take the case.
But it's a county jail, but it's not any ordinary jail for him.
Yeah, it's extensive work release, so it's not real jail.
He was getting 6 days. He was getting 12 hours a day for 6 days, and then it got bumped up to 7 days. So for 12 hours a day, he could just go wherever he wanted. And he had a personal driver.
But when you look at the charge, though, and again, I don't know what the legal parameters or environment was in Florida back then. Today, underage children, that's, you can connect any of those cases real quick to a federal charge or get it into a federal court system. The fact that it never went that way, I'm kind of implying here that I think there was some weirdness there, that it never touched the federal courts.
Well, it was Alex Acosta. And if you know Alex Acosta, if you know anything about him now, you know that that guy is also very corrupt, and also tied to Epstein. But yeah, so he went to the county jail for 13. Yeah.
Real quick to your point, and then obviously after that, in this, when I say to your point, I think it kind of validates there's something more going on here. Is he goes through and gets this, non-prosecution agreement with the feds. And that to me is that first, when you look at this timeline, it's that first, like, wait, the feds have an interest here. Like, they're pretty much saying they're not going to prosecute him again or anything associated with this case.
Yeah. I think they finally brought it down to one count of whatever it is with the intent for prostitution, right? Trafficking for the intent of prostitution or something.
Yeah.
It was one count of that, when in reality, what was plea dealed was 34 counts and or later what we found out to be over 40 counts of minors trafficked. So minors trafficked, sex trafficking, down to one count of possible prostitution. So and then that one actually puts blame on the girl. So now the girl's like, oh, she was a prostitute, she was a whore, so they just got caught. No, no, they didn't just get caught. She wasn't a prostitute. But the fact that this guy was getting 12 hours a day to just go and do whatever he wanted with his own personal driver and PSD, and then come back to jail at a certain time, and then do that again the next day and just every day. This is like he's just like this guy's just business as normal, because even then he continued his operation. I mean, he just had a different place to stay. The who was it that somebody, I forget who was, that also committed suicide in the same way, like hung himself, like his last name is Brunel.
I'm not sure.
Something Jean-Luc Brunel or something like that. He was the guy that ran the modeling agency across the pond, I guess, that got busted and then ended up hanging himself, or apparently ended up hanging himself. But he was directly tied to Epstein and again, sex trafficking of women and all that. But apparently he committed suicide in jail. So this guy, even when he gets in trouble, there's people that are like coming to his defense, right? Not necessarily paying his way out because he has his own money, but the people that he
through
knows,
influence. Yeah. It's like the legal system is almost bending and warping to get him out of the cracks.
That's why to me he's so intriguing, because it's like he had so much power, man. This guy has so much power, and he has such powerful people backing him that there's only one logical explanation. It's that it was a foreign run intelligence operation or intelligence gathering operation, and not by the US, right? And he was just propped up in this position to be able to do these things, and then eventually buy an island where now he's flying people to his island, or he's flying people to his, multi-million-dollar home in New York, and now has his entire island set up to collect intel, cameras in every room, mics everywhere. Even his staff are listening in, this is not a private, this is not a man who is operating within his own ambitions. His ambitions was not to collect dirt on all these people for himself.
No, he was providing a service.
He was providing us a service and getting
that people
paid
were
for it.
Partaking in. They were partaking in what this place offered.
Getting paid very well, because not even today have they confirmed one legitimate source of income for this man. But he was getting paid like a king. And he was getting obviously royal treatment. And the people that went to his island, it's because, a friend of theirs has a ton of money, has an island, and they left a party, and they're like, yeah, let's go and check out this party. Either unintentionally walked in or now entrapped into a situation which they have to comply, or knowingly went. Right? And that's why the Epstein list is so important, because we don't care about the identity of the victims. Yes, keep those private for the sake of the families, but we want the name of every man and woman especially politicians. I can care less about celebrities. Most of them are sleazebags. But every politician who influences my way of life and every American citizen's way of life, we want their names. And then we want a nice big hanging tree for all of them. And we want to line them up and put the noose around all their necks and then televise that around the world so that the entire world knows that Americans have had enough with this corrupt system that we're run by, and like we've had it. That is the only way forward. But unfortunately, I feel like they're just gonna keep saying there's no Epstein list until people stop asking about it, and then it's gonna blow over like 9/11.
To me, it's manipulation at its finest. Is they keep saying Epstein, the Epstein list. They're making it about this loser, right? It's like, no, we don't. We want to represent and make sure that our justice system holds the individuals accountable. That, from what we hear and what we've heard from the stuff that was limited and released through the Epstein trial on the horrific acts that were taking place. So we put him through our legal system. We put all this evidence on display, and then we just come to the conclusion that all that information is just not accessible and it doesn't exist. It's a bold-faced lie. You convicted this man. You convicted him, meaning some jurors, which, by the way, where are the jurors, Cal? Where are the jurors? You're telling me there's not an American out there willing to take $1 million from TMZ or $10 million from TMZ to disclose the information post-trial?
No, because they don't want to get Epsteined.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm saying. There's American out there that sat on that juror panel, that jury, and they know, and they, unless the names were,
and they signed NDAs and they signed their souls away.
Yeah, I mean, they had to get paid by somebody, because you know how it is. Even with some of the biggest cases out there, the jurors will come out afterwards and say, "Why? I believe this and I believe that."
I don't think they got paid a dime. I think they were told, sign this NDA, and if you say anything, we'll kill your family. Good with that? All right, be on your way.
I mean, yeah, if that's the case, then for sure, I guess that's why they're not saying anything.
Yeah, why would they have? They don't have to pay them a dime. Just threaten their lives. I mean, we are talking about an organized crime here. There are people on both sides that need to be protected, and there's people that are in the limelight that need to be protected. And he is also protecting himself by running with this narrative that there is no Epstein list. You know, the Democratic hoax, not one person believes that, President Trump. Not one person believes that. You would be better off just saying there's no Epstein list and running with that to your grave. But the hoax, cut that bullshit out.
Well, and I think the reason you're disappointed is because I think if I would pull 10 rational people that are not Trump supporters or have their issues with him and said, you know, give me your top 3 things that you don't like about him, they would list them. Give me one redeeming quality, 1 or 2 that if you really had to pull deep and say, okay, maybe this, I think most people would say he's going to try to do what he said he was going to do. That's the one thing. Like, will it be successful? I don't know. Will it be the best policy? I don't know. But I think the reason they thought that this administration would do it is because you had people like Bongino, Kash Patel. You had all these people leading up for the last 2 years, and every podcast they went on, the list needs to come out. Pam Bondi, the list needs to come out. That list needs to come out. And then they just look like a bunch of cowards now. I mean, and I hate to use strong, I mean, they're just cowards. And the latest report is that apparently I think Bongino knows what he stood on the last 2 years and what he said on his podcast. And now it's, you know, rumored that him and Pam Bondi are at wit's end and he's threatening to resign. And now I've also seen another report that Kash Patel, he put a tweet out saying he'll continue to serve or whatever. But apparently behind the scenes, he's saying if Bongino resigns, it almost forces him to, because then they don't think Bongino will keep his mouth shut. And just to remind everybody, Bongino's a Secret Service guy, I believe. He's not an FBI dude by trade. He's not whatever. I say that to say that he's typically, if you go back and watch his material, he's clearly leans right. But it seems as if he's pro law enforcement or whatever. And I bet you there's something in him that's pulling at that moral cord saying, not kids. I'm not covering this up. I don't care who it implicates.
I mean, maybe there is an ounce of moral fiber in him where he's coming to this decision that he needs to possibly resign. I mean, I don't quite see what that gets anybody. He's out of a career. He's going to get replaced with some other puppet. And then what? You know, like this goes back to what we were saying about the military. Don't fucking sit there and say this is an unlawful order, so therefore discharge me with the dishonorable, sir. Like, how about you put up with the bullshit that you can put up with and climb the ranks and get to a place where you can now influence policy and influence some kind of change, the kind of change that you're claiming that, that stands for the principles that you're standing on now. So for Dan Bongino to resign, what does that get anybody? How about you stay there? And how about you fight as hard as you can until you get to a point where you feel like it's your life or something, and then resign. But I don't get it, man. Like, because now if he knows something and he's not in an official position now, then isn't he just painting a target on his back? Like, I mean, people are going to want to talk to him. Like the news, everyone's going to want to talk to him. He's going to turn down a bunch of, or what? He's going to get on and give us some BS story about how he, it was a toxic environment and he couldn't be there anymore. I don't get it.
I would argue that, and I agree with you about it. I would argue that being the deputy director of the FBI is about as high as he can get. And I think at the end of the day, Pam Bondi, being close as a cabinet member, she knows the implications, the good and the bad. There's just bad, and that her and somebody probably above her has made the decision that it is in the best interest of everyone, politically, party, personally, reputation, to just not release any of this stuff. And he's probably sitting there because he's either had his eyes on it, I would assume, or he knows something, and he's just like, again, I just think when I say moral, I guess I mean he's sitting there going, well, we should do this. And they're like, hey, shut up and color. And he's like, I'm going to quit. Like, you got to think, man, deputy director FBI, they're getting paid $200 to $250. I mean, that's good money, but it's not, you know what I mean? Like, he came from a podcast making his podcast. He's making $1 billion a year, 1.5 a year.
I mean, I guess if he wants, I mean, if it's a financial thing, he's going to make a lot more with his other stuff. But if he's okay, so I guess I'm not really saying like he should stay there and try to climb more ranks. Obviously I think he's tapped out for that, but he still has a lot of leverage as the deputy director of the FBI. He's in Kash Patel's ear. I mean, I'm sure they're having multiple meetings just by themselves, at least 2 a day. Why and Kash Patel now kind of also hinting around the same thing. It's like, why don't you guys just team up now and do what you can to maybe fight a little bit, use the fucking powers that you have and try to make something happen, or sit there and be the voice of reason or whatever in these bigger meetings. I don't understand why quit. I mean, I'd rather have Dan Bongino as a deputy director of the FBI saying, just by those words, saying that I may resign. I'd rather have him there than some yes man who they're going to replace him with anyway.
No, I know, Kawa. I just think that I know you, and I think you're seeing it from your perspective, but I just think that there's some people out there that had a faith and belief that none of the good guys were on those documents. See, you don't think that. You've never thought that none of the good guys or the bad guys or the left or the right guys and gals were not on that list. I think he truly believed, I'm going to go serve a part of this administration and we're the good guys. We're going to bring back X, Y, and Z. We're going to do good things. And I think this specifically, he's probably seen something he wasn't anticipating seeing, or the reasoning or logic behind why this stuff is not being released, he fundamentally disagrees with. Think about it. For him to say, I'm going to quit after only being on the job, 6 months, it has to be something compelling. It can't be his ego. It can't be he's having a hissy fit. I mean, the reports are saying it was a straight up screaming match. So for me to think that the deputy director is going to get in a screaming match with his boss 2 layers above him, because at the end of the day, she is his boss. The FBI falls within a Department of Justice.
She's DOJ, right?
Yeah,
Bondi?
She's the DOJ. So I just think given that, it's like, as the attorney general, she's clearly telling them, get away from it, leave it alone. And he's saying, I'm not leaving this alone. So I'm paraphrasing. You can get on the internet, look at all the reports. But I'm going to tell you, out of DC, when they say reports, just like when Elon Musk had a black eye, it was laughable. Why would Steve, what's his name, Basant, whatever his name is, and him punch each other? We'll come to find out it did happen. You know what I mean? These reports don't come out of nowhere. So again, I don't know why he would do that. I agree with you. rather him stay in the seat. I'm not saying he should leave, but I
Yeah.
think kids, again, if you're a parent, sometimes it's just something you can't get by, regardless of where your loyalties lie.
Yeah, I guess that makes sense. And yeah, I was definitely kind of looking at it from my perspective, but yeah.
Because
I
I'm
don't
your
know.
friend, Kawa, but what would you do if I got convicted or even alleged? Let's say alleged. Hey, Lane got arrested with 29 counts of inappropriate material. I don't, and then I get convicted for it. It's like, well, he's my friend, but like, I guess not anymore. Not if he's doing that. I don't know how you look at that, but I just feel like there's certain things in life that where it's like, I could be a supportive friend, but there's just some things you do. I don't know if I'd be able to look past.
Yeah, I mean, if we're talking about this specific topic, I can't support you. Doesn't matter who you are. I couldn't even support or defend family members if that was the case. Well, so you officially have the FBI and the DOJ that now say there is no list. And then on top of that, you got President Trump with a double whammy saying there is no list and stop talking about this list. You're still talking about the Epstein list? like
that was
this,
a day
this
after,
10
years
bro.
ago. Like,
a day after
talking about this for 6 years.
Yeah, that was a day after you got your DOJ and FBI to say there's no list, and then the next day he's like, "What? You're still talking about this guy?"
It's like, hey, DJT, this goes back to your first term. Like, what are you talking about?
Yeah. And like that, I think that's what upsets people the most. Is it's one thing like when the FBI says there's no list, because then we're like, hey, Trump, like, get these guys, it's like, go after the FBI and make them give us this list. It's another thing to say the DOJ also won't give the list, because it's like Trump put pressure on President Trump to go after the DOJ to give this list. But then when you got the man saying that there's no list, there's no coming back from that now. You made an absolute statement at this point that you cannot come back from. That's like saying, look, 9/11 was done by 19 hijackers with box cutters who only flew single engine Cessnas, and those towers were brought down by the fuel jet of those planes, and Building 7 was brought down because there was a fire that got started. Then that's it. Closed case. Don't ask any more questions.
We still talking about the towers?
Yeah. Sorry, we're still talking about the towers.
Okay. We're talking about that, and it's 20 some years later.
Yeah, don't think this Epstein thing is going to go away. This Epstein thing is just as big as 9/11, because you have not only all these victims, who knows, probably thousands of victims, but also the people that were the ones that were doing all this are still affecting our lives today. I wouldn't give a shit if it was somebody like George Bush Sr. I'd still want his ass in jail. And who knows, he's probably on that list too. But I'm saying if it was somebody that's old, like 90 years old and on their deathbed, I'd be like, bro, put him in jail, let him, you know what I mean? But we're talking about people that are still in office today, people that still are not governors, but are possibly governors, who knows? But they have people that had put them in office and voted them in office. And here these people are flying off to these islands and playing these games and stuff. And then turning around to us in the same breath and saying, I'm here for you guys, and Epstein this, and dude, it's just like we live in a freaking clown world, man. And I don't know where this is gonna go, because I feel like, yesterday was Bongino and Cash Patel. Today was Ghislaine Maxwell saying, I'm ready to talk about a list. And we know that there's a list. So with all the people that put pressure on them, where do we go from here?
Well, I think they're setting themselves up, because what's going to happen is this pressure is going to be relentless. It's not going to go away. And then they'll ultimately have to come out with something, just proving the fact that there was something all along. So, it'll be so-and-so was fired, so-and-so resigned. I didn't know, but here, this is what it was. Here's the list. Here's this. It'll be heavily redacted or whatever.
Well, let's not forget that Trump himself is on that flight log.
Well, that's what I was alluding to.
Yeah, at least 7 times. Okay. If you're on a flight log at least 7 times, going to Epstein Island on that Lolita Express. If you went to Epstein Island one time and you saw what was going on there, and you somehow made it out of there without now being part of it, You think that you would want to go back to that island, Lane, unless you knew what was happening on that island and you also were down for it. Then you would probably make 6 more trips to that island. Okay, I'm sorry. If I'm just looking at this from a logical sense, 7 trips to an island means not only did you know, but you partook. If you're asking Kawa. Okay. Not to mention all the videos of these two hanging out, all the pictures of these two. And I debunked the AI ones, but the ones that you're seeing are actually legitimate ones. The videos, the pictures, the comments that were made from Trump to Epstein, from Epstein to Trump. I mean, Epstein said Trump was one of those people that he said something about it, like he got like the hair transplant because he had male pattern baldness or something like that. And then he also said something else. What was it? It was something incriminating. Something about basically he lies to everybody he meets to get his way and this and that. So this is Epstein on Trump, right? And they can say whatever. Who cares? But then you also got Trump in one video that's like, this is my boy. We've been friends forever. Like, we're cool and this and that. And then like 2025, he's like, you're talking about that creep? You're still talking? Like, no, dude, you can't 180 like that when there's all of this stuff surfacing.
So you're pretty much saying he didn't go to Disney once. He had a season pass. he was like diamond status.
Yeah, he had like when you go to Disney World and you're permanently disabled. You're permanently disabled, so they give you like one of those forever fast passes. That's what Trump had. Trump had the permanently disabled forever fast pass version of Epstein Island. I mean, but not more than Bill Clinton. Bill Clinton had like 26, 27 trips out there. He was having the time of his life.
So because I just want to make sure we hit it all. So we talked about the early 2000 Florida case, and then obviously the 2019 case pops, sex trafficking charges in New York City, running a trafficking ring involving dozens of underage girls. Some charges mirrored prior allegations, meaning it was very similar to his previous case. And then he was held at MCC. And then obviously in the same year, the flight logs, the photos of politicians, celebrities, and academics, were all coming out, right? And those flight logs for people, when you think of charters and or at least from the military side of the house, it is required that people's names are written down. So before that plane takes off, a few things are done. The pilot's credentials, the owner of or chartering company, and then each person's either first initial, last name, or initials, and some kind of key identifying factor, which is why typically you can do an initial with a last name or a first name, last initial, whatever. It's so that if that plane goes down, the FAA has an ability to account for who was on the plane indeed. And typically that final manifest, in the military we call it final manifest, but I'm pretty sure it's the same in the charter world. Someone can correct me in the comments if need be, because I'm clearly, I don't know if I'm hitting this on the head, but that's where these flight logs become important, because it's like, we don't care how many people are on the plane. If it was a G4, 5, 6, 7, what we want to know are who are the people traveling to and from that island. Right. And the fact that these people are mentioned, and this is the critical part here, Kawa. Clinton and none of these people have felt compelled to address it. Like, let me clear my name. Hold on. Like, none of them has said anything, which almost validates that, hand wave never happened. That's not real.
They think if they stay silent that their name will be brought up. It's like out of sight, out of mind. It's that PFC in his barracks room that's hiding, right? And he's out of sight, out of mind, bro. We don't know where PFC Clinton is.
Who, me? Nah, that was that guy.
So, I mean, out of sight, out of mind. Why would he all of a sudden make a statement and say, no, 26 trips out there? No, I was water skiing every time, bro. I was tanning my cheeks. No, why would he incriminate himself? If you speak, if you're on this list and you come forward and make a statement in your defense, it's automatic incrimination. That's how we're going to perceive it. There's nothing you can say to justify 26 trips to an island or 7 trips to an island.
So then obviously he dies in custody pending trial, not even a couple months later. And And then obviously this man apparently just has the most extreme examples and cases of similarities or oddities, the timeline in which, well, for one, a few things, and I haven't confirmed or denied this. You can kind of correct me, Kawa, because I know you've dug deep on this. So I think the pictures of the jail cells were not identical nor even relatable. They didn't look the same. Nope. The comeback or the excuse for that was, well, no, one of those pictures, that's the door to the next door, is what they said. There's a minute of video missing.
They said, hang on that one. They said that this was a picture that we took. The video angle that you're seeing is the same door, but a different angle. Or sorry, it's not showing the door because the camera can't see the actual door. That's what they said.
Okay.
Yeah. They said that the camera angle that you're seeing doesn't show the actual door, but the photo that we took is the actual door. That's what they're saying.
But in the video that you can't see the door is also missing a minute.
It's also missing a minute. And don't forget
the guard was asleep.
Don't forget the little contort or the distortion of framing as well.
Yeah. So there was so my point is like all these oddities and this whole guy's life, anytime we had a chance to catch him or something was going to go on, there was something that just happened to happen. Look, guys, it happens. A minute of video just does randomly delete. Apparently I read something that MCC had that problem a lot with their security systems. It's like, okay. And the security guard fell asleep at the same exact time. And then some of those security guards were found to be, not I don't know, were they prosecuted or come out like falsifying records? Like, well, what did they falsify? What did they say that wasn't true?
Yeah. So the guards fell asleep. We're missing a minute and we can't see the video actually doesn't show the door at all. But the picture that you see is of the door. Well, which one is it? Is it the picture of the door or the video? And why are we seeing a video of some weird angle of this door? And why is it missing a minute? Why is it missing a minute? I get MCC was using like older dated kind of equipment, probably according to Pam Bondi from the 90s, I guess is what they were using, which is weird to me because I'm pretty sure MCC and a bunch of all these other prisons got a big freaking budget hike in the Obama days. But so then they're still using these old systems, and the DVR system within it always skips a minute in that midnight stroke. And that's been doing it since the 90s, apparently. And you also get the distortion in the framing because ghosts.
Well, Kawa, let's pretend I'm Pam Bondi, and I got to tell this to the American people and sound half believable. I would probably have a video behind me playing a day from every year for the last 15 years from that place, showing the inconsistency. To be like, not that makes it true. I'm just saying like some kind of, it's like they're not even trying to make you believe what they're saying. They're just saying, I'm saying these words and you need to believe me. And everything that you've seen or read is irrelevant and it's not true.
Yeah. That's the biggest
keep
thing.
In mind, she was working for where was she? Was she practicing law for the government in Florida way back in the day too? Pam Bondi's like in her 60s, by the way. She's not young.
Yeah. I forget what her background is. Do you know a Representative Ro Khanna? Khanna? It's not Khanna.
Is that from Hawaii?
He's a Democratic.
No.
I'm not sure what state he's from. Ro Khanna. We'll find it. We'll put it up here. But just filed an amendment demanding a floor vote to dump the entire Epstein dossier into the public domain with no redactions. The public will see who votes yes and who votes no. That would be interesting, wouldn't it?
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah, I did see that. Yeah, let's see who really wants to see it.
Yeah, put it up to a vote. That's what a brilliant idea. The people, you could argue, the people want it. I mean, everybody knows what the people want. So if the people want it, then the people we put in office should speak on our behalf and say, yes, we want it. If you're not on that list, you better fucking step the fuck up. Step the fuck up and say that you want that.
So real quick, she served as the Attorney General for Florida from 2011 and 19. My quick math, I could be off, guys. Y'all check me. She was a United States. She was a fourth generation Floridian from Tampa, Florida, who spent more than 18 years as a prosecutor. 2010 minus 18. That's 1992, I think. Yeah. So she was a prosecutor, a federal prosecutor for the state of Florida during the initial Epstein early 2000s scuff up. I'm not saying she was on the case. Well, let's see who was on that case real quick. So she was not involved in the case, but see, it says she was not the attorney general for Florida. Okay, I understand that, but who are the federal prosecutors for his initial case?
Rand Paul, people like Thomas Massey need to step up.
Well, because it comes across to me, those two, they're not in DC to make friends. They're there to do their job and represent their constituents from their states.
Exactly. So I think that's what I'm saying, though. But they need to step up and say, no, we want to see this list. Like they have.
So the prosecutor was Barry Krischer. He made it to 80 years old because what I was doing, I was trying to see, did he die? Like, when did he pass away?
What's Comey's daughter's name? Maureen Comey. Oh, okay. She was on Ghislaine Maxwell's. Maureen Comey was on Ghislaine Maxwell's case.
Got it.
Ghislaine Maxwell's case and also Diddy's case.
So, okay, let's run through the characters of potentially compromised cabinet members right now. We'll start with Pam Bondi. So obviously, she has word salad herself into a catastrophic situation where the two people below her in charge of the FBI don't seem to be supporting her. Trump's trying to say how great of a job she's done while gaslighting us all to think that this Epstein guy's a loser. I think we all agree on that, actually. We just want to know who was associated with them, and those people need to be brought up on charges and dealt with.
Pam Bondi is definitely compromised. Kash Patel, compromised.
Yeah, she's doing what she's told. She's either doing what she's told or she's architecting this thing on how to cover it up.
She's doing what she's told. Because don't forget who's behind all this, Lane. Don't forget whose op this is from the get-go. This is Israel's op. This is an Israeli op 100%. Like, I'll put my house on it right now. This is an Israeli op from the get-go, and they have the influence in our government to tell people to stop lurking for answers, stop searching for answers. They have the power and influence to tell Pam Bondi to stop. Who's Pam Bondi? They have our president. They have our vice president. All Trump has to say is, Bondi, fucking stop. That's it. This is an Israeli op, and we are still working with this government and still giving them all this money and still giving them all these weapons. And they are here the entire time collecting intelligence on our people, putting them into situations or coercing them or just straight up blackmailing them.
Yeah.
And yet you got people like Ted Cruz that want to, advocate for another $250 billion to Israel 3 days after there's a major flood in your own state, completely neglecting your own constituents, people that put you in office. But what do you expect from a Canadian?
Well, and then Ted Cruz was on Piers Morgan, I think a day or two ago, proclaiming to want to see this list. It's like, dude, sit down and stop grandstanding. Stop. Yeah. Stop. You of all people. He has never come across authentic.
Yeah, and he's too dumb to be on that list. But and I don't even think he's on the list. I think Ted Cruz is a complete Neanderthal. But he's smart enough to probably not mess around with Epstein, but he's still an Israeli shill.
So a common phrase that gets thrown around there these days is, the two-tier justice system. I think that's, obviously underage children being such a sensitive topic. It's just, I think Americans are tired of that. They're starting to see how if you're a normal citizen that gets brought up on charges of XYZ, marijuana charges or whatever, people go to jail for years or decades, whatever. And then you see some of these creeps, dating back to early 2000s get brought up on underage activities. I don't care what the charge is. It's associated with that. It's a special place somewhere for you. And you get a year on work release and X, Y, and Z. I don't know if we give work release to domestic assault offenders, much less, so you just consider all this stuff and it makes you see, you throw some wealth, you throw the justice system and the influence, and it seems to always go the way that we think it's going to go. They're not, we just watched P. Diddy. We'll see what he gets sentenced to, but I can tell you right now, it doesn't seem like people are confident he's going to get some crazy sentence. And if anyone that follows federal cases, they'll tell you that if you plead not guilty and you don't cooperate, by the time, if you get found guilty in that case, to some extent, typically those sentencing guidelines go to the top of that charge in the federal court system. if you don't cooperate. So we'll see. I think that case will kind of give another indicator of like a little bit of money, a little bit of influence can get you around these things. The sad part is, excluding all of that, we're talking about children, and there's no money and there's no one to defend those people. And again, these children, they belong to somebody, right? These kids were being brought to an island. There's parents out there that probably lost their children. Their kids were either stolen to them, came from another country, were trafficked, and to this day may or may not have found them. And I
don't forget all the kids that went missing during the flooding
that's
in
what
New
I was
Orleans.
Going to say. Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Is that
don't forget all the
kids,
Asian
I would
kids.
be surprised if they're even alive. Because if you're running that kind of operation, those kids can't survive past that. They've got to go away. And I hate to say that. I don't want to sound. I don't want to sound fatalistic. I'm just saying, like, in this type of operation, those kids don't just get released back into society.
No, and you don't do a major human sex trafficking operation like this without cartel being involved. There's just no way. It's not like they were bringing in a couple plane load of women or whatever from Europe, which they were doing as well. But most of the girls that they were getting underage were from Central and South America and other kind of places that are nearby. You know, the people that are coming in from overseas, those were actual models and stuff. And yes, they were young too, but they weren't like these 12, 11-year-olds. They were, 17, 18, probably 16, but they were all on the up and up as far as we know, as far as records show.
And then just to tie the bow on this, you did say he was an Israeli asset. Just to tie, again, if people are well read on this, you already know this, but Robert Maxwell, known, confirmed intelligence asset for the Israelis. So it's, again, when all of these things can be said easily by anyone, right? I've also seen, obviously, there's the slander. Hey, real quick, throw this to our viewership. Guys, I said I was a fan of Candace Owens. I don't want to detract here, but like people think I hate this woman. I literally preface my comments. What I'll say is that her and Tucker Carlson, people are on rampage right now. Just sat like they're talking like they have proof that this is Israel. The Israel. It's like it's just funny. I will tell you, since we've been doing this podcast, Kawa, and you talk about this stuff, the more I just notice, I'm like, Theo Von's an enemy now. The guy who all of America laughs at, now people call him anti-Semite because he just like, hey guys, there's something weird about this.
Right.
So it's just, and I know you're grinning and I know why you're grinning, but it's just, people are going to open their eyes. And the more you talk about this stuff, you don't have to make an accusation. You just bring up what's going on in the details and the facts. And then the outfall of it is a lot of like media and or social media pressure starts to literally swell up on people that have never been involved with this stuff to take them down or to discredit them.
Let's just question his death for a second, because there's also this whole thing about the person that actually died or the person that they had an autopsy on. There's that screenshot that's confirmed that's actually his body, this person, the supposed Epstein. But then the noses didn't match whatsoever. The nose of Epstein is very, very profound or whatever. But then this guy's nose was more gradual and not completely two different noses. But the thing is that there was people that said that night that apparently he committed suicide, that people showed up in suits with a van, threw Epstein in there, and then left. And then they came back like a couple hours later with Epstein. And there's people that said that doesn't look like the same guy. So that's all hearsay until we have some legitimate, like somebody coming out with that whistleblower. But why would they, if Epstein was this big, powerful guy and he had all these friends and all this money and influence, why would they kill him?
Well, you know why.
Because what, he's going to talk?
Well, because that case going down alone. Yeah, I mean, but it just goes, it's full circle, right? The prosecutors brought him up on charges, means they had the evidence. They indicted / charged him with the crimes. So it's either that trial can't go to case, because you could kill the guy, but the case is really the problem at that point. The guy is, he's a source. He could have talked to that point. You know what I mean? He could have complied. He clearly would. I don't know what he pleaded, if he even put a plead by that point, but the case, they needed him to go away. So the case didn't happen. And when I say go away, I don't mean dead. I'll tell you right now, I think it's very easy for the American government to make someone go away and not go away, meaning they died, but they're really somewhere else in this world. We have such a vicious news cycle here that him getting reconstructive facial surgery and going somewhere. I mean, there's many of cases and stuff that you can look up where it is very easy to redo your identity, get some documents, especially as estate sponsors sponsoring that transition, that no one would ever find you unless you want to be found.
Knowing what I know about Epstein and who he was friends with and his influence and money, I don't think it was in his. Now, unless everybody just agreed to off the guy, like in Casino when Joe Pesci just gets offed, right? Unless they decide to just off the guy, I don't see why they couldn't just figure out a way to get him out of there. I mean, at the end of the day, he ran a very successful operation. He made a lot of money off of it. The people that knew him made a lot of money as well. And so it's like, why would you kill, a source of one, entertainment, but two, finance, revenue, whatever. And so I think that personally, if you ask Kawa, I would tell you that this man is very much still alive, that they planted whoever this person is. They paid off the people that they needed to, NDAs across the board, just like the jurors won't say a thing. And that's it. And it's like the whole bin Laden thing. It's like, it's all of that. It's very easily doable because who all is going to see transparency into this guy's autopsy and who's going to go to his funeral? It's all on the low anyway. But at the end of the day, the damage that's been done by what Trump has said by Pam Bondi and the official stances of the DOJ and FBI is damage that is irreversible, in my opinion, especially for Trump and especially with his base.
Well, look, and I think, like you said, I think we covered most of this in terms of timeline and kind of the oddities and again, I always try to simplify my perspective and my approach as just the normal American. Like how does a normal American that's looking at the facts or the presented facts or perceived facts or falsehoods, and how can they process this information? And I think oftentimes I've said this through many environments or positions throughout my career is like, I've never tried to be the person with all the answers. I just want to ask the right questions. And typically that person who can pose the right questions will typically get a lot of people in the room talking. So what I implore our audience to do is, hopefully this episode and thoughts and opinions that are shared or just kind of bringing up pertinent questions can kind of spark something new to go research, go look up this stuff and go deep, go back to where he started, where he worked, who he's associated with. How did he even get linked up with Maxwell? Right. And then what does her dad do? So like, I find all that intriguing. And then I think right now, to directly answer President Trump, as I would argue, is the reason we're talking about this is because we're demanding accountability. And it's not for you to determine and or discredit your own constituents wanting to know this, because the Republican Party and the Conservative Party, if you will, ran on a platform. And this was one of the things, Cash and Bongino and all these people said that they made the promise they would deliver this list. So if that doesn't spark that for you, I would just say like add a question, comment, or demand accountability, tag appropriate people to hopefully drive conversation and let us know what your thoughts are and what you think and how you feel about all this. I think most Americans, if not all Americans, just fundamentally, regardless of difference or disagreement, there's a special place in our society where I think we should protect children. I don't care what your background is, your ethnicity, your religion, your culture. We have to protect children. They can't protect themselves. So that's kind of my take on it, Kawa. Hopefully people can kind of, I think this episode, we won't have as much kickback or disagreement. Apparently me telling Candace Owens she wasn't credible for her take on the military and being dishonorably discharged really created a lot of tension on the internet, and people think that I'm some progressive liberal. I think
both of us.
Well, I don't know. They gave you more credit. Some guy was like, "Well, you're a lot more credible. You seem more level-headed than this progressive idiot over here." And I'm like, "Me, progressive? Okay, that's a new one. I'll take it though."
Yeah. I mean, I think the thing with the Candace Owens statement was taken a little bit out of context on that particular video that we posted.
For sure.
But it doesn't matter. You can't appease everybody anyway. It doesn't matter which side we took the stance with. As far as this goes, though, this is something that cannot go away, guys. If you're listening, the first step is education. Get educated on it, understand the facts, look at the patterns, look at the players. I mean, make it make sense to you. Okay, you have the mental acuity to do this. Once you get to that point where you come to a conclusive thought and you are pretty much on board with Lane and I and millions of other Americans, then you need to then think of what actions need to be taken. This is bigger than one man. This is not about Trump. This is not about Epstein. This is not about Israel. This is about a system of elites who protect themselves at all costs, even defying the Constitution and the standing laws of the land here in America, all for their homies. Okay. And we're not part of that club, and we never will be part of that club. So the action here is to go to whoever is next in charge of you in your principality, the mayor, and ask them, are you on that Epstein list? No, I'm not. Okay, if you're not, then you have no problem standing with us when we next go to the governor's house and ask him if he's on that Epstein list, or if we go to the state representative or whatever congressman is nearby in your cities or whatever. You'll have no problem with us going to stand and protest at this person's house and put pressure on them. You either stand with us or you don't. But your choice is a very definite answer. With even if you don't answer, it's a very definite answer as to where you stand, and basically either you're with your constituents or you're with the system, and that's what it is. It's the people versus the system now. That's why when I say the Democratic Party is decimated and doesn't exist, they're in shambles. But guess what? It's okay, because we have bigger issues now that's going to unite this country, and it's holding accountability to people that have not only broken the law, but have broken it in the most despicable way, where you can only imagine. Think of your children. Okay. And that's it. We go up the chain of command and we say, are you on this list? No, then stand with us. Cool. Next person. Are you on this list? No, then stand with us. And we need to put pressure on the right people, which in this case apparently is everybody on both sides, to get to the bottom of this. And if you want to do more, do more. But I mean, I don't know how else we're going to get the answers. It's not through social media. It's not through the Theo Vons and these kind of podcasts. It's through actual action. And if you're out there, if you're here in Texas and you're in Houston or Katy or wherever you're at, and you have an in to this with whatever, a march or whatever it is, a petition, dude, hit me up. I am down. I'll come march with you guys, because I want accountability of this too. Like I said, this is not about the victims. It's not about one particular person. It's about a very corrupt system that is taking advantage of our kids and the kids of other people around the world for their sick games and their satanic cult, and they're all protecting each other. So you have to make a decision. Either be complicit with your silence or stand up and say something and do something about it. Those are my final thoughts.
Yeah, I'll protect my children. I'll protect your children, Kawa, and I'll protect any child in my community. And I've just always been that way. And I think our country needs to get back to those roots of, back. I can only reference my childhood as I just remember adults, they held kids accountable, and they would send kids to their parents when they messed up. But at the same time, those same people would take care of those children and protect them. And somehow, some way, I don't know if it's just coverage of the internet. It's just children and child crimes have just been too much, man. It's just become too much. There's in this case, it's just another representation of it. I don't care about the loser, whether he's alive or dead, to be quite frank with you. I want to hold the people accountable that partook or partaked, whatever, got on a plane, went over there multiple times to see these parties. And I just don't believe that they only took place certain times. If I go anywhere 6 times, I could probably give you a consensus of my opinion or impression of that place, that environment. So I agree with everything you said. I think hopefully most of our viewership can get on a principled message here, is find the creeps who are a part of this, and let's expose them. You know what I mean? Because most of the people that are on that list are wealthy people who probably don't deserve to have the wealth they have, and they need to probably see a day in a courtroom with an unbiased jury that's not tainted by financial gain or and can hold some principles. So with that, real quick, my going away is love on your people, keep moving, and we'll see you next week.
Well, guys, that is it for another episode of the Weekly Debrief. Now, we try to bring you as many facts as we can. Obviously, by the time you guys watch this video, all of our references, articles, whatever it is, videos are posted. We bring you the facts. We may bring you some theories, but at the minimum, it should be thought-provoking. It should be food for thought. It should catch your interest in something you want to educate yourself with. And hopefully this video, as well as the other people that you watch, hopefully you see a pattern of information being shared here across the platforms and people that makes sense. And now we just have to share it, but at the same time, share this with other people as well. And when speaking of sharing, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to the channel. Share this video. It always helps us in our algorithms. Thank you for all the subscribers on YouTube. You guys are awesome. You guys just kind of came out of nowhere, and I love it. Same thing with like TikTok and Instagram as well. And as always, leave your comments down below. We want to hear your guys' feedback. If it's not here, maybe it's on one of our shorts. It doesn't matter. Pick a place, put your comments. Let's talk about it, because this is not something we should just let go. This is not something that needs 20 years to come out or be questioned for legitimacy. This is something that we need to stay on top of today and for the rest of the time until it does come out. And we bring these people who are responsible for all this to accountability. And with that, I hope you guys have a great week. Enjoy your weekend, and hopefully you enjoyed your weekend. And we will see you guys next time. Cheers. Good night. Bye-bye.